Hello and welcome. I'm Danette Kubanda, and joining me today for a very special Skype interview is Gretchen Martens. She's affectionately known as the Veteran Lady, and she's the author of Untying the Yellow Ribbon and of Veteran Studies Weekly. Thank you so much for being here, Gretchen.
Thanks so much for having me, Danette.
So, Gretchen, we are all welcoming back so many great men and women from wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and you say that it's so important that we pay attention and really do welcome them back with open arms. Why is that so important?
Well, a lot of people today assume that because we don't hate our veterans the way that we did after Vietnam, that today's veterans are transitioning well. And what we know from a recent study is that about 50% of them say that they need more support. It's not that they're in terrible places, but they need a little more support if they're going to thrive back home on Main Street.
And what's the consequence then of us not giving them the help they need?
Well, that's the other piece we don't think about, Danette, is when we look at our Vietnam era veterans, it's been 39 years since we pulled out of Saigon, and yet the cost of care for that generation of veterans goes up every single year, even though the number of Vietnam era veterans is decreasing because they're aging and they're passing away. So there's a $1 trillion cost attached to taking care of this generation of veterans, which is a lot of money. And we can start to chip down on that cost if we help our veterans stay to transition well so that they don't go some of the places that our Vietnam era veterans ended up in.
Wow, that's a big statistic. Well, what's something that we can do? What's the first step?
Well, one of the most important things is to help these young guys and gals coming back to find jobs. And it's a little bit of a mindset shift for our civilian employers. You see all these things on TV about post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. That isn't the majority of veterans coming home today. And we need to look at the skills and the experiences they bring, the things that are really hard to teach, but that every employer wants. So it's things like work ethic, respect for the chain of command, the willingness to take risks, the openness to training. Those are all things that make for a great employee.
It's so important and so simple to pay attention to those ideas. But not all of the veterans are necessarily looking for a traditional job. Do you find that a lot of them are trying to start their own businesses as well?
And that's an excellent point, Danette. We see a lot of our young veterans coming home, particularly because the economy is so bad, starting businesses. And that's actually something that doesn't just benefit that veteran. It benefits the whole community because what we know from research is that 100% of net new jobs come from small businesses in their first 3 to 5 years of existence. So when that veteran opens a business on Main Street and they do well and they start to hire, who do you think they're hiring? Well, they're hiring people in the community, and that's a way that everybody wins.
So really, helping these veterans acclimate to civilian life really does benefit all of us, no matter where we stand politically or otherwise.
Exactly. And it's the kind of funny thing that there are so many things we don't agree on today, and yet there's one thing that we all can agree on, and that's that no one wants to lose another generation of veterans like we did after Vietnam. So I've talked about this issue for years, and it's quite extraordinary. Young people, old people, rich people, poor people, Republicans, Democrats, they all agree. Ironically, pacifists, immigrants are very, very convinced that we must take care of our veterans. And so that's a way that we can bring our communities back together to learn how to be community in the face of all the things that we don't agree on.
And that's something, that we saw the night of the State of the Union, correct, with Cory. Tell me a little about that.
It is. Well, Cory Remsburg is a young Army Ranger who's very badly wounded. He got a 2-minute standing ovation. And over the next few days, there were thousands of media articles and interviews, and everyone was so excited by this because it was something that we could all come together on. It was a unifying message to support our veterans. So for me, it was proof of concept that, yes, America really could come together this time, support our veterans, but also pay it forward in a way that brings us back together to a genuine sense of community and lays the foundation to rebuild an America that works for everybody.
was a very, very touching moment. And this is all such great information. Thank you so much for being here, Gretchen. And if you'd like to learn more about her book and her projects, please visit her website at untyingtheyellowribbon.com. Thanks again.
Thanks so much, Danette.